Morning, ladies and gentlemen. We will be starting our program. The idea was to start at 9 a.m. sharp. We are recording this session, so anyone else who is still going to join will have access to the full recording. On behalf of Eswatini Revenue Service, I'd like to welcome you to the e-invoicing vendor engagement. My name is Ndobeko Manana, the Director of Communications and Marketing here at ERS, and I will be your Program Director for today's session. I hope I am audible. Nduduzo, if you can just confirm for me or specifically on your side before I proceed. Okay, perfect. Thanks so much. As I've highlighted today, we are engaging prospective vendors for our e-invoicing project. So we particularly welcome the developers, technology providers, suppliers, partners, and prospective vendors who have joined us today. Thank you so much for responding to our invitation and just setting aside the time to be with us as we embark on this very important implementation journey. I'd like to also just touch on some few housekeeping rules before we get into the agenda of the day. Please do keep your microphones muted while presentations are in progress. You are encouraged to drop and submit your questions in the chat. We have a team that's going to be monitoring the chat. But we will also have a Q&A session. We have two dedicated Q&A sessions today. One will follow the sandbox online walkthrough and take you through after taking you through the sandbox, and then we'll also have another Q&A session that's going to follow the presentation of the actual technical guidelines. So with that, let's formally begin our program. To formally welcome us and set the tone for today's engagement, I'd like to invite the Commissioner General of Eswatini Revenue Service, Mr. Brightwell Ngambule, who's going to not only speak to the purpose of today's session, but also highlight just the important role that the vendors are going to play in the implementation of this project, as well as the expectations from Eswatini Revenue Service as we move closer towards rolling out our solution. So, Commissioner, I know you are on the call. Can I kindly hand over to you? Thank you so much, Sichi.
Thank you. Thank you, Ndobeko. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can, Sichi. We can hear you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you again for taking the time in your very, very busy schedules to join us this morning. Your presence here is a demonstration of your commitment in partnering with the Eswatini Revenue Service on this very, very important national assignment. This is our fourth engagement on the electronic invoicing program. And today we have the ERS, our electronic invoicing system providers, DTI, as well as yourselves as our prospective vendors who will assist.
Yeah, no, that you and that's already right.
Okay, please keep your mics off. Thank you very much. Thank you. We appreciate that. So I was about to say today we have ourselves, the ERS, our electronic invoicing system providers, DTI, as well as yourself, the prospective vendors or service providers who will assist our clients in connecting with the system. We see you as very important ecosystem partners in this project. So in this session today, our technology partners will unpack the finer details of the technology as well as high-level processes. So we invite you to engage, ask questions, and we commit to respond to those questions. Our objective is to ensure that you fully understand the initiative so that you can assist our clients in connecting with the system. This system is intended to simplify compliance. I am just going to go very, very briefly and remind us on the current processes for submission of VAT returns. You'd recall that we submit the VAT returns through schedules, and in the schedules we detail, all VAT transactions. And you would recall that at some point we agreed that those who are in retail do not have to submit every single sale that they make at the till, because it was going to be cumbersome and tedious and voluminous. Now, this solution simplifies that process. So with this solution, it then becomes possible to fully comply without the significant effort of manually consolidating all your receipts and then sending them to the ERS. So this process or this solution here will simplify that. Now, the success of this project, in our view, will be measured by the reduction in the cost of compliance. So we are not just interested or prioritizing the technology. What we are prioritizing is that we should see businesses experience a reduction in the cost of compliance. I therefore invite you all to see yourselves as our true partners in building the future of this country, of our kingdom. So I would like to encourage you to participate fully in this engagement here today. And I wish you a very productive session where we'll deliberate openly and truthfully so that we improve compliance and we level the playing field out there in the market. So with those few words, ladies and gentlemen, Program Director, thank you very much. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, CG, for those important remarks, and also just reinforcing the important role that the vendor community will play in the successful implementation of our e-invoicing solution. We're now going to move on to the technical component of our program. And our first presentation is just going to highlight the foundation of everything that will follow this morning. I'd like to invite Sakamuzi Mtunzi, who is our Director Programs, to take us through the fiscalization overview. And his presentation is essentially just going to help position the various components within this ecosystem, but with a specific focus to the role that vendors will play. So Sakamuzi, over to you.
Thank you, Program Director. Good morning, all. So today I'm going to take you through the ecosystem and try to highlight your role in the ecosystem. So yeah, as ERS, because what we are trying to do is to make life simpler for our taxpayers by having an electronic way of sending data real time to us so that we can eventually populate their returns. So we've embarked on this initiative where we have different roles in the ecosystem. So as ERS, we'll be receiving the data. That is one of our roles. And number two, we are going to provide a sandbox that our developers who will be developing the POSs can go and test their POSs before they go for accreditation. And also, as ERS, we have a role to publish those POSs that are now accredited. So we've issued out technical guidelines, which basically gives the developers of the POSs the guide on how to do and what is expected. So in this slide, you'll be featuring as distributors and suppliers. So what will happen here, you will, okay, maybe let me first define what the POS is. A POS could be a gadget that is producing a fiscal device, a fiscal invoice or receipt. And it could be a software that produces a fiscal receipt and an invoice. So I will start with the devices themselves, because the device, there are lots of devices. It could be your cell phone, it could be your speed point, it could be the ones that we normally see in your supermarkets. So for those ones, you find that they are manufactured somewhere, maybe in China, and they are being imported into Africa, into the country by distributors who then select if they want to do the dual role of being a distributor and a supplier, meaning a supplier is the one that sell these gadgets to the taxpayers. So what will happen here, as a distributor, you will do the code that complies with the technical requirements, and that code will then be accredited by ERS, and then that code you can send it to the manufacturer so that they put it inside the device so that it meets the requirements for as prescribed by ERS. Those that are running soft POSs, which could be your EP, your ERPs, and your packages like Sage and QuickBooks, something like that. Even those ones, they'll have to develop that code, and that code will be tested and accredited by ERS, and then be brought back to the owner of the software, so that they update the software. And then once that is done, it means those POSs are now ready to work here in the country, and they comply with our standards. So what will happen then? The distributor will select a supplier, or they can select themselves to be suppliers, where they will then sell these POSs to our customers. And as ERS, our responsibility would be then to link the POS with the TIN of the taxpayer through a use of a smart element. So we're having two types of secure elements. One is, it looks like a SIM card. It's a SIM card which you can insert in your physical POS so that it transmits the data as we are making the sales, transmit the data to ERS. Another one, it's a soft one. It's more like a certificate which you get, and also that one it secures the data and send it to ERS. So yeah, as a distributor, we will go through the technical guidelines and go through the sandbox so that you know where to go once you are done with the code. And also we'll briefly talk about the process of how to do the accreditation for purposes of this section. So at a high level, that's how this ecosystem will work. But for us to easily understand this, I just made an example where you'll find that you have a wholesaler that is having their own ICT specialists who are looking after the POSs. So you'll find them buying from Posiplex as a manufacturer, and then the ICT department can act as a distributor, which will actually develop the code and accredit it with ERS and send it to Posiplex, so that every time they supply them with the POSs, that code is there, and our responsibility would be to publish those ones that have actually passed the test in the ERS. So then most of the time, if we are doing it in-house, we call it more of a private POS, because it cannot be used by any other taxpayer, because it is customized for that environment. So, and most of the time, the private ones, you find them being the distributors and the suppliers to the different branches of their shops. So it means it's highly possible that what these wholesalers are having can be upgraded using the code, and there won't be that capital investment in terms of changing the system that they are using. So another example would be one where you find that maybe you were using manual books, which means you need to now upgrade to an electronic system. So these ones, that's where entrepreneurs comes in, who would just go maybe to China, get the different POSs they want to supply in the country, develop the code, make it comply with ERS technical guidelines. Once they are done, they put it on the shelves so that anyone who wants can come and buy. Then go to ERS, we put the secure element, and then the relationship is made. The data will start flowing to the ERS when sales are made. We also have a free POSs that we are providing, more especially for small businesses like consultants, your individuals, your hawker out there, because we are saying at the end of the day, as we roll out the project, we want to capture all the things that are happening, even if we are not VAT registered. So this solution will come handy, which is being provided by ERS and TTI. It's a web-based POS, which is readily available. And also we have an app that runs on your Android and iPhone, which is readily available. So with that one, you simply download, then you get the secure element, virtual one, which will then identify that software that you have installed, identify you with the ERS. So this one, it's a free package that you are having, so that we can assist the taxpayers that that don't have that capital investment to go for a complicated approach. Otherwise, that would be it. Thank you very much. Over to you, Program Director.
Thank you so much, Sakamuzi, for your presentation, and also just establishing how the fiscalization ecosystem will work. Now we're going to move from the conceptual environment that Mthunzi has outlined to the actual platform that vendors will be using as part of their journey. Our next presenter is Marco Denick from Data Tech International, our implementation partner. The commissioner highlighted that we do have the implementation and project partner on the call with us today. And Marco's going to start off with taking us through the Sandbox online environment. We will then just take any Q&As that come from that, and then we're going to follow it up with the unpacking of the technical guidelines. So please, I do encourage our listeners and our vendors on the call today to take particular attention to this session. And please do ask any questions or drop any comments that you may have on the chat. We do want to have the next few presentations be very collaborative, and we want to hear from you. Marco, the platform is yours.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. I have a presentation prepared, so I'll just share my screen so you can see it. Just let me know if it's visible. If anybody has any issues with seeing the presentation, please let me know.
We can see it. It just needs to go into presentation mode. Otherwise, we can see it.
Yeah. All right. So, like it was said, well, I will take us through the presentation regarding the Sandbox environment that was.
Sorry, Mark.
Sure. Yeah.
Please stop the displays. We are seeing the presentation.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a second. Just a second. I will reshare. No. All right, now that this should be better. Okay. All right.
Perfect.
So like I said, the presentation will focus on the accreditation itself and the Sandbox environment that was established for the purpose of conducting the accreditation and all the processes regarding that. All right, here we go. The presentation outline is, as you can see here on the screen, we will go through the Sandbox online environment and its purpose and why it exists. Then we will discuss briefly what an EFD or electronic fiscal device is. just want to give you an overview and introduction of what we consider to be an electronic fiscal device, so you can hopefully better understand your position within that ecosystem and how it all fits. Then we will discuss about how to access the sandbox environment, and more specifically the developer portal, which will be the portal that you as prospective vendors will be using to interface with the sandbox environment and to complete all the processes you have regarding the accreditation. Then we will discuss in more detail about the development portal itself, and we'll talk about the available resources and activities that you can perform on the portal. We will then move on to discussing on how to initiate the accreditation application for your devices. And then we'll wrap it up with talking about how once you initiate the application, how these are managed and how they are reviewed and what you can expect during the review process. All right. So first off, you might be wondering, why do these devices need to be accredited? What's the point of accreditation? Why accreditation was established as a requirement for implementing this whole project? Like it says here, the accreditation is a check. It's a formal check that each component of an electronic fiscal device behaves exactly as the system requires before it can be offered on the market and sold to taxpayers. So we want to have a check that in a way guarantees that there will be no faulty devices operating in the market once the system rolls out. Now, the accreditation, like it says here, is granted by the ERS. It will be, signed by the Commissioner General after all the reviews have been performed. It confirms that the systems that are offered on the market, they produce invoices or receipts that are, like it says here, that complete. What we mean by complete is that they contain all the information that is required by specification, that things are correctly formatted, and that most importantly, everything is digitally signed, right? So unless information is digitally signed using a certificate issued by the ERS, it will not be considered a valid invoice or a valid receipt, and it will not be stored by the system. And like we said, one of the most important parts of the accreditation is the giving confidence to taxpayers that the accredited devices that on the market meet the same required standards. So I think, like it was mentioned before, all the products will be that are accredited will be published. The list will be published by the ERS, and the list of accredited products will be continuously maintained. So as a taxpayer, I can go and I can check the list of accredited products, and I can feel confident that all the products that I see on that list meet the required standards. So I don't need to, guess whether this solution will work or not. Now, the important thing is you can see here what gets accredited. So I want to make this as clear as possible from the get-go. So each component of an electronic fiscal device, and we will, in a few slides, I will unpack what are the components of an electronic fiscal device and which ones get accredited. But it's important that each component is assessed on its own. So each component gets accredited on its own, goes through the accreditation process, and each version is accredited on its own. That's important to note as well. So any change, like it says, any material change, what we mean by that is that any version change you might make on your product will require retesting and the reaccreditation process. So if you make, if your product gets accredited and you make some minor changes, patches and things like that, that of course will not be subject to a new accreditation requirement. But if there are any significant changes that affect the version of your product, that will be reaccredited. And like it says here, vendors are not accredited as a company. So the accreditation is not awarded to a vendor as a company saying that, okay, you are now an accredited vendor and everything you make is automatically considered a valid product that can be offered on the market. So it doesn't work like that. So actual products, actual devices, actual POS devices, or ESDC, like we will see soon, ESDC devices, those are the ones that get tested, and those are the ones that get accredited for a specific version of the product, if that makes sense. And like it says here as well, accreditation is not a one-off formality. All right, so it's not something that should be considered, okay, let me just get this done with, and then I don't need to worry about it anymore. My product can do whatever on the market. So it's a first gate here that says that it keeps non-compliant devices out of the market, but the accredited devices will be expected to keep performing as they were accredited. All right, so all the specifications and standards will be publicly available. So, and all the devices that get accredited will be expected to keep performing like they have been during the accreditation process. And like we said, in case there are any changes, reaccreditation might be required by the ERS. Now let's talk a little bit about the sandbox environment. So this is the environment that the vendors use in order to perform all the activities required for the accreditation of their products. Like it says here, it's a pre-production environment, right? So this is where you as a vendor will come and you will register. This is where you will be able to perform all the tests for your products. There are some available resources that we will discuss soon. And this is where you will apply for the accreditation of your product. So everything will be done in the sandbox environment. Like it says here, it will be accessible to you as vendors through the developer portal that you will access. Once you go through the registration process, you will receive a certificate. This certificate will allow you to access the developer portal and perform all the other activities there. Important note here is that you can see one of the bullet points is that this is a shared platform used by multiple tax jurisdictions for integration of different electronic fiscal device components. So what does this mean? It means that this platform is multi-jurisdictional and it's multinational. So this is one advantage that you have as a vendor for registering on this platform and going through the accreditation process. If you register, the accreditation itself is divided into two major parts: the technical review and the administrative review of the accreditation. During the technical review, once you fulfill all the expectations and your product becomes technically approved, it means that now you as a vendor can apply for administrative review in multiple jurisdictions. But the point today is to focus on Eswatini. It means that once you're technically approved, you will of course be able to apply for administrative review, which will be specific to Eswatini's requirements. So this is an additional check to make sure that your product, the technical review confirms that your product meets the basic technological standards of communication required by electronic fiscal device, and then you will move on to the administrative review, where it will be confirmed that your product fulfills all the expectations prescribed by the ERS in Eswatini. But like I said, the platform itself will enable you to pursue other business goals you might have, and if you wish to maybe push your product to different markets, that's one of the advantages you will have with using this platform. The important thing is that this is not a production system, of course, right? So it says it's a pre-production system, so everything that's done here will not be reflected on the production environment. So that's the whole idea. The idea here is for you to onboard as a vendor, do all your testing, all your development, try different things regarding your accreditation and complying with the requirements, and so all the certificates that will be issued to you will be specifically reserved for the sandbox environment. So they will not, the certificates you will receive as a vendor on the sandbox environment you will not be able to use them in the production environment, of course. So these environments are strictly and clearly separated. And you will receive electronic notifications for any change in the status of your application. So once you decide to initiate your applications for the accreditation, you will be able to keep track of the review process by being notified with any change that happens in the accreditation itself. Now, why this is important and what's some of the legal foundation here? It's so it says here, like you said, that a participation in the sandbox is not optional as an EFD vendor. So it's legally mandated in order to be accredited. So you cannot offer legally approved products on the market without going through the sandbox environment and getting your device accredited. Okay, so there is some explanation here regarding the governing framework and what's the whole process is rooted in the existing laws and acts within the Kingdom of Eswatini. There was a recent Commissioner General notice that was published that regulates more precisely the process of fiscalizing invoices and receipts and the accreditation process itself. So I encourage you, if you haven't done this until now, to access that document and read it carefully just to see the legal basis of this whole process. So the important thing if there's one thing for you to take away from this presentation, it might be this note here that an EFD component may only be used for invoicing after full accreditation process is completed and accreditation is granted by the Commissioner General. So both you as a vendor will be at fault if you offer a product that is not accredited, and taxpayers themselves will be at fault if they use products that are not great. All right, so we talked about EFD and electronic fiscal devices for quite some time now. So I will try to unpack it a little bit now and explain what an electronic fiscal device is. So the name itself might be misguiding somewhat. When you hear an electronic fiscal device, you might have in your mind a single device. It doesn't have to be a single device. So it's a collection of three basic components that you can see here on your screen. So the component number one is a POS, or any invoicing system that might be used to produce invoices and receipts. Component number 2 is an SDC, a sales data controller, and component 3 is a secure element. Okay. These can be packed as hardware or software solutions, so it's optional, depending on your choices as vendors and the needs of taxpayers in the field. A POS, I think that's the clearest one. That's the one that requires at least explanation of what this first component is, right? It says, like it says here, it can be a hardware or software solution that's used to provide transaction data for any transaction that's being performed at the point of sale. And like it says here, this is important because I'm imagining that there are a lot of prospective vendors in our session today with different backgrounds and with different solutions that they might be implementing. Don't be limited by the phrase POS. What we just use it for clear understanding. What we mean by POS is any invoicing system that can be used to provide transaction information and to receive information back after it has been digitally signed and fiscalized. So like it says here, it can be in various forms. It can be a standard POS, it can be a vending machine, it can be part of the larger system, it can be a cash register, it can be even a mobile application, an online shop. So anything within this ecosystem, anything like this that can perform, like we said, prescribed requirements from a POS can be considered a POS or an invoicing system. An important note here is that every POS model is subject to accreditation. All right. Now, the second component is something that's going to be new for most of you, sales data controller. This component is, you could say, at the center of this whole exchange of information, because this is the component that receives information from the POS. It analyzes that information. It makes sure that it gets digitally signed, and it also handles distribution of this information to the ERS e-invoicing system. There are two types of a sales data controller, as you can see here. One is an ESDC, the second one is a VSDC. ESDC, or Electronic Sales Data Controller, it can again be a hardware or software solution. It's important that it operates at taxpayer's business location, and it enables both online and offline fiscalization of data. And that's the version of a sales data controller that is subject to accreditation. That's something that you as vendors can choose to develop, test, get accredited, and offer in the market. The other version of a sales data controller, virtual sales data controller, it's a free, like it says, a free web service operated by ERS, and it enables only online communication and online fiscalization. That is not subject to accreditation. So that's not developed by vendors. That's not something that you can engage in developing. So that already exists. It's part of the system that the ERS will be implementing. And it's an option that taxpayers can use for producing their invoices. So taxpayers are the ones that are going to make a choice. Okay, they will definitely need a POS. Everybody will need some version of a POS to provide transaction information. But then moving on from there, they will have an option whether they want to rely solely on using virtual sales data controllers that will be, like we said, free as a web service, but it's somewhat limited because it can only work with the internet connection, or whether they want to make sure they have an ESDC at their business premise that will enable them to work both in online and offline scenarios. And this is where vendors can come in create, accredit ESDCs, and offer them on the market. And the third component of an EFD is a secure element. So this is, again, not subject to accreditation. It's just a component that is used in an EFD. These are issued by the ERS. They contain the electronic certificate that will be personalized for each taxpayer and for each business location. So for every secure element that will be issued, it will contain information which taxpayer and which business location is using this certificate. It's used to digitally sign invoices and to preserve the integrity of this signed fiscal data. And it will be issued either as a smart card, as it was already mentioned, or a digital file certificate. Now let me try and make this a little bit clearer as well with how these EFDs work and what's the line of communication between different components of an EFD. There, I made one graph with VSDC scenario and one with ESDC. Well, as you can see here, with the VSDC, it communicates only online, like we mentioned, and VSDC is operated by ERS. So everything, the whole fiscalization logic happens within the ERS system and within the ERS e-invoicing environment. So the taxpayer's POS will submit invoice data using HTTPS connection, because like we said, it has to be safe internet communication with the VSDC. VSDC will use secure element that's implemented within the whole infrastructure to digitally sign that data, return the answer back to the POS with the signed invoice, again using HTTPS connection. The POS can then use this returned information with the signed invoice to create and to print the actual receipt or invoice, hand it over to the customer, and the VSDC then submits the information to the ERS database where everything is stored. With the ESDC scenario, it's very similar, just like we said, the location of the fiscalization is slightly different. So again, the information is entered through the POS by the taxpayer. Invoice data is submitted. Now, if you notice, there is a significant change because, like we said, the whole business logic is within the taxpayer's business premise, and this is where the fiscalization happens. So there is no need for HTTPS communication. There is no need for online communication between a POS and an ESDC. So there is the whole communication and the whole process happens within the business premise. The secure element is there as well. Secure element that is required to work with ESDC is the one that is issued on a smart card, as you will see once you start reading the documentation. ESDC performs all the activities regarding communication and signing the information. Again, returns the answer back to the POS so the cashier can provide a fiscalized invoice to the customer. There's a difference here that you can notice as well. Now the ESDC again communicates with the ERS database by using internet connection. So ESDC doesn't require internet connection to communicate with the POS and a secure element. So there is no internet connection. So invoices can be fiscalized and issued to customers without internet connection. But in order to submit the fiscalized information to the database, internet connection is required. only in this case with the ESDC, it has requirement to meet it's one of the standard operations of an ESDC is that if there is no internet connection available at the moment, it will safely store within its internal memory information about all the signed invoices, and then once internet is available, it will submit all the information to the database. If the internet is available at the moment of sale, of course, it will submit it immediately in near real time. Now there is a step 6 here, as you will see as well, that the ESDC receives an answer back from the database that we call the proof of audit. It's a form of confirmation back from the system that all the invoices that were digitally signed and issued have been submitted and received by the database. There is no gap. There is no invoice missing. So that's how everything is regulated, and the ESDC receives a confirmation that everything has been submitted. If there is an invoice missing here, there will be no proof of audit received back from the database, and that's how we can know and we can control whether everything that was digitally signed has actually been submitted and received. I hope this makes the system slightly clearer. So like we said, I'll repeat again. The components that are subject of the whole accreditation process is POS and ESDC. So those are the ones that can get accredited. Now, where do you start learning more about these requirements for the accreditation? There will be technical guideline that is already available on the ERS website, and that will be second part of our discussion today. We will go through that technical guideline document as well. But in addition to the technical guideline document, there is also an online documentation that offers more detail regarding the development part itself, and all the standards within the communication protocols between a POS and an SDC, and then a SDC and a database and a secure element. So these two are your starting points, and we strongly encourage you not to begin any development or testing before you go through all these available resources and read all the requirements. Now, the technical guideline, as you can see, they define the mandatory technical and functional requirements of each EFD components that gets accredited. Now, but the online documentation, this is the link, and I will show you shortly how you can access this online documentation as well. Like we said, it hosts complete developer documentation for each. Sorry, I can hear somebody talking. If you can, please just mute your microphone. Like we said, it contains slightly more technical instructions for developers, such as the API and checklists, and how you can format the samples of invoices that you will be submitting, and so on. The important thing is that both of these are regularly maintained and updated. So again, as prospective vendors, it is expected from you to keep track of any updates. Of course, the ERS will do its best to make sure to communicate any changes with you, especially any significant changes that are made either in technical guidelines or in this available online documentation for development. But again, it's expected of you to keep track of these documents and to see whether there have been any updates regarding the requirements. All right, now when it comes to accessing the sandbox environment, the first step is registration process, vendor registration process. And it's fairly simple, just a couple of steps for registration. You need to submit your application. You go to the sandbox online form, you click register. There is a form that you need to fill in with some basic contact information and company details. Once you fill that in and submit it, your registration will still be unconfirmed. You will receive an automatic answer from it to confirm your email. Once you click on that link, we need to confirm the email that you are using for all the communication going further with the whole accreditation process. Once that is confirmed, the status of your registration will be, registered. This is when we consider that the registration has been submitted as an application. Then an ERS officer will review your submitted application and just make a decision whether to approve it or reject the application for registration. In most cases, of course, these get approved if everything is okay. The purpose is just to make sure we don't get, since this is of course open to general public, we want to make sure we just do basic vetting to not let just anybody register on the environment itself. So just want to make sure that it's an actual company that does actual work and does actual development. Once your registration gets approved, you receive a developer certificate, again via email, and you will use this certificate to log in to the developer portal on the sandbox environment and do all the other activities there. Right now, the developer portal, I will go through this, and I hope I will have, I'll probably have some time later on to show you the portal quickly itself. Like we said, this will be your central hub where you do all the activities you need to perform regarding your accreditation. You can use it to access all the available tools. So it's a testing environment, like we said, for the development. So there will be applications available to you and also some automated tools for compliance verification. So all of this is, of course, free of charge. I don't know if we mentioned that before, but that's an important information, I guess, for a lot of vendors. So registration is free of charge, and using developer portal is free of charge. So nothing gets charged on the developer portal. So using all the available resources and applications and testing tools is free of charge for registered vendors. When it comes to resources, like we said, that there are instructions, including API documentation, accreditation checklists, examples of sample invoices and invoice anatomy guidelines and things like that. So all of that is available via the developer portal itself. You can use the portal to submit requests for secure elements. So you, as vendors who are developing solutions, will be using secure elements as well, right? Because you need to develop solutions that communicate with secure elements. Like we said, these secure elements are issued for the sandbox environment only. So it's not a production environment. They are digital certificates and they operate the same way as the ones in the production environment, but they can only be used for the sandbox environment. And like we said, once you initiate your application for accreditation, you will start receiving notifications with every status change during the accreditation process itself. The important thing is that each vendor can seek accreditation for multiple EFD components through this same portal. So you're not limited in the number of components you can develop, test, and accredit. If you want to develop 6 POS solutions and accredit them, that's possible. Or if you want to develop multiple ESDC solutions, that's also possible. There's no limitation regarding that. Some more information regarding the available resources on the developer portal. So for the POS, the developers, they will be available through the documentation, technical details, guidance on how to design your product and how to perform the connection of your products and integration of your products with the ERS system. There will be explanations regarding the accreditation types. You will notice that when it comes to accreditation type, that's an important distinction, that the accreditation can be performed by vendors who are suppliers. Mr. Sakamuzi was explaining that in his presentations, that it's possible to operate as a distributor of a product that gets produced somewhere else. You just need to accredit it as a distributor. But it's also possible to register on the sandbox if you're a taxpayer who has their own solution, either a POS, or you can decide if you have an IT department in your company that you think can develop an ESDC solution. You can go there and you can register, and then you can, when it comes to accreditation type, you can say, you can decide whether you want to develop an EFD component that will be sold to other taxpayers, or you just wish to develop and accredit it for your own purposes. So that's what the accreditation type distinction means. So if you select, it's called a transferable accreditation type. It means it gets accredited and it can be sold. It can be transferred to other taxpayers so that they can use it as an accredited solutions. If you opt for a non-transferable accreditation type, then it means that POS or ESDC can only be used by the person who initiated the accreditation, and so it can only be used by the company who accredited that solution. So there will be explanation on the documentation that will be required from you during the accreditation process itself. You will be required to submit documentation on your products. There will be a guide regarding the invoice, like we said, invoice anatomy. So all the information you need as a POS developer to format and to create a proper invoice will be available there, as well as API documentation for interfacing. And similar goes to these are just some examples here, but similar goes to for ESDC developers regarding all the resources available there. So all the expectations will be clearly outlined to you once you access the developer portal and you start reading the available online documentation. The important bullet point here is an SDC analyzer tool. So that's for just one example of free tools that are available to you. So it's an automated testing tool where you will be able to, if you develop an ESDC, to run a series, hundreds of automated tests that will check whether your ESDC works in accordance with the requirements for the communication protocol, for example. All right. Let's talk a little bit about initiating these applications for accreditation and how this works. So once your development is complete, sorry. Oh. Oops, sorry. Once the development is complete and the testing stage is completed, the vendor decides, okay, I wish to initiate this accreditation process. I think my product is ready. They can go and they can initiate.
Marco, your mic is on mute.
Oh, sorry. How did that happen? Sorry about that. Let me just go back. Like I said, there is a prerequisite here. It's not, a real prerequisite, meaning that not somebody can stop you from initiating your application before you read anything. But I placed it here just because I want to reiterate the importance of going through all the available documentation before you initiate the accreditation. The actual first step is to create a new application through the developer portal. Once you create it, you provide the required information. For example, if it's a POS, you will need to provide the name of your POS product and the version of your POS product, things like that. You create it and you say initiate accreditation. It will have the status set to technical preparation. There will be a self-assessment checklist. Once you initiate it, there's a self-assessment checklist you need to go through and give answers. You're required to upload some documents such as your user documentation, or to upload samples of your invoices. Now, I want to just clarify something regarding the source code. It's not actually required for you to upload your source code of your product. It is required to upload all the relevant information, like I said, like the user guides and documentation, so those can be inspected. And it will be required that you upload invoice samples of actual invoices that were issued on the sandbox environments, and those will be used by reviewers to check the compliance of your product, but you will not be actually required to upload the whole source code of your product. But once you go through the checklist and you provide all the required answers, you can say, okay, submit, and your application will receive the status that it has been submitted. And then the review team from the ERS side can start with their review process for the technical standards. And the same goes, like we said, for both POS and ESDC. Of course, the checklists are different for POS and ESDC because they're different products, there are different expectations from there. But the principle of submitting the application is the same. You create a new product, go through the checklist, provide all the required answers. Some questions are, you will see some questions are mandatory, some are optional. So for some questions, you are required to provide an answer. Some you can skip. So once you're done, you submit it, and it's in the status technical submitted, so that the reviewers can start with their review process. All right. And these are the key areas with that checklist that I mentioned. So for example, for the POS products, you will be asked to, like I said, to select whether it's transferable, non-transferable type of accreditation. You will be asked to provide to enclose some documentation about your product. Yeah, you will go through a checklist with the operational functions of your POS to confirm whether your POS complies with all the requirements for operation. Some information regarding what the cashier can do with your products, distribution of invoices, the QR codes. You will see that QR code is a standard part of a fiscal invoice now with this system. And like I said, you will be asked to provide samples of invoices issued with your device. With ESDC, like I said, again, there is a checklist, but you can see it's a different type of topics and different type of questions that are required to answer. Again, the important part is that there are, again, confirmation with the operational functions, that you need to confirm that your product complies with all these required functionalities of an ESDC. All right. One important note is that all the required documents must be submitted in English for the purpose of review. Now, managing the review process. So once the ERS starts reviewing your application, it will receive the status under technical test. It means the ERS begins checking and testing the provided answers and samples from your POS, for example, or if it's in ESDC, then it will be a slightly more, maybe different review process, but this will be the status. And these are the changes, like I said, like I mentioned with the notifications, this type of changes, you will receive notifications as a vendor. So once your application is being reviewed, you will receive a notification, so you are aware that it's being reviewed. If everything is okay, if the whole review is, outcome is positive, you will just be technically approved. Again, you will receive a notification on that. In most cases, what happens is that there might be some amendments required for some of the provided answers. Maybe some information is not complete, or it's not clear enough to the reviewer, and they might ask for some amendments. If that happens, then you will again receive an email with comments from the reviewer, what needs to be amended or clarified. Then you can go into your application again, make amendments, and then resubmit it for review. So those are the two statuses that get regulated. So the technical amendments are required. Once you submit it, technical amendments have been submitted. And then it can be reviewed again. And then if everything is okay, it can get technically approved. Any application can be rejected at any point, not just when it's submitted. Maybe if it's not used for a long period or different reason, but if the vendor fails to comply with the requirements, there is an option to reject the application for technical review, of course. But this will not happen from the first go. So don't worry about being rejected just because you submitted your application and somebody finds that not everything is perfect, that it will be automatically rejected. That's the whole point of this amendment steps. So this can be reiterated as many times as needed until everything is fixed and everything is up to standard. Once you complete the technical review, you need to proceed with the administrative review process as well. So This can only be initiated once you have been technically approved. Again, you can see the status is here. Once you go and you initiate it, administrative review, it will be, you have a status of administrative preparation. There will be another checklist now with some other requirements for you to go through and provide answers. You can submit it, and then again, the ERS will go through this and do the review again. You can see some of the topics here. I don't want to go into too many details, but these are some of the topics that you will be seeing in the checklist in the administrative review, both for POS and for ESDC. Again, to clarify whether we have a partner or reseller status as a distributor, or you are the manufacturer of the POS product itself, maybe type of POS, installation methods. You will be asked to provide some more invoice samples, and this is where we come to the, like we said, Eswatini specific business cases, because there are some types of invoices that are specifically required within the Eswatini jurisdiction. So you will be required to provide invoice samples for this type of invoices. We'll go through that in more detail with the technical guideline document. And for ESDC, again, these are the type of topics that you can expect to see in the administrative part of the checklist. Again, once the reviewer starts going through your application, these are some of the changes you will be seeing on your portal. Once the review starts, you will see that your application is in status administrative review. Just like with technical review, there might be some amendments required. So you might see administrative amendments required. You will again receive an email notification with clarification what you need to amend. You can resubmit it. If everything is okay, once everything has been reviewed, confirmed, everything is fine, your application can get approved, which doesn't mean it's accredited yet. If it's approved, it means now you have successfully passed both technical and administrative review. The final step is to receive accreditation from the Commissioner General of ERS. So it's prerogative of Commissioner General to grant accreditation for the approved applications. Once the application gets accredited, like we said, it's published most probably on the ERS website, but it will be publicly available. All the accredited products will be publicly available on the list of available products. And like we said, what's expected after successful accreditation? Well, it's expected that your product maintains compliance with prescribed both legislative and technical requirements. It's expected of you to report any product changes. So if you make any, like we said, significant product changes that affect the version of your product, you need to report this and reinitiate the accreditation process for the new version of your product. The ERS will be conducting on-field inspections to confirm that your accredited products works up to standard. And there is an option for revocation of accreditation. We will talk about that in more details once we get to the technical guideline document, but I just want to mention it now as well as an introduction that if an accredited product that's already offered on the market, if it's confirm that it's not working up to standards and there is a failure to correct errors or to adapt to any new requirements from the ERS, there is an option to revoke the accreditation for a certain product, which means it will be removed from the list of accredited products, and it must be removed from the market completely. So yeah, just to kind of wrap it up for this part of the presentation. Regarding the first steps is to go and register for the Sandbox online platform in order to be able to access the developer portal, receive your certificate, access the developer portal, and explore all the available resources there. I will give you a brief orientation now as soon as I finish this presentation. Do all your development and testing there on the developer portal, and then apply for the first for the technical review process, and then later on for the administrative review process. Again, all of this is done through the developer portal there. So share, that's it for this presentation, but I wanted to just quickly give me 1 second, sorry, to open the developer portal. Let's see. Hope you can see my screen again. So once you access the developer portal, it will look like this. Like I said, you will have access to all the available resources and applications that you can use as a prospective vendor. You will have easy access to the documentation. Like I said, documentation is published in online format, so you can easily access it. There is a section specifically for EFD vendors, and you can go and browse through the whole documentation and everything that's expected regarding the
Sorry, do I have to be logged in to access all of this information?
In order to access this, you don't need to be logged in.
Oh, okay.
You can access this online documentation without being, but I just want to show you how you can quickly access through the portal itself. But that's a good question. This documentation is available online already, so you can go. It's publicly available documentation to access it.
Oh, okay. I've found it already. Thank you.
All right. You can browse through the different options here as well. So the help, it also offers you quick access to all the relevant documentation, and it's designed to work to be sensitive to the page you are on. If you're on this page, it will only offer you again access to relevant user documentation for that part of the portal itself. All your accreditations will be available here. So this is just an example here. Once you initiate any accreditation process, the list will be available here for you to see, so you can check the details. Just to give you an idea, this is what the checklist looks like that you will be asked to go through and provide. But like I said, you will be able to track in real time what's happening with all your accreditation applications in each segment of the accreditation. All right, so we'll just stop the sharing. Hope that was helpful. I think that's all I had for this first part regarding the sandbox online orientation. I think we can go with the Q&A for this section if everybody agrees.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Marco, for that detailed walkthrough on fiscal devices, showing us the sandbox, as well as the accreditation process and technical review processes. I just want to highlight to the comments on the chat. We will be sharing your presentation, the one you've just delivered, on the SharePoint link. I am seeing that there are some colleagues on the chat who are struggling to access it. We are working on that. What we want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is have all of the resources in one link that you can all access. So please just give us a bit of time while we sort that out. I also have been reviewing questions on the chat. I am seeing the technical teams are responding as we go along. But I just want to make sure I haven't missed any. Nelsie, where you've asked if there will be a Siswati section. So what we're going to do is ensure that we translate the technical guidelines that we're going to unpack next in Siswati, and we will also ensure we do have engagements that cater for that audience. So please, we will sort that out on our side. Siboniso Kininza, you had two questions. I know that Sakamuzi has already responded to them. If the solution we develop is software, will it qualify for accreditation given that it can run on different types of hardware? He has responded yes. Will the software need to undergo accreditation again whenever there's a new version? He has also responded to yes there as well. I know there was another question that was highlighted. We are seeing the feedback around requesting that we share the content with you prior to the engagements. We definitely will do that. I also want to highlight this is our first engagement with the potential vendors, ladies and gentlemen, but definitely not our last. We are going to be walking this journey with you. So we are taking that feedback. And we will ensure to adjust accordingly. I know the team is working on ensuring that the link is accessible to all. Please do just give us a bit of patience around that. Samgeli Soskwane, you had asked when retailer is using the VSDC option and the internet happens to be unavailable, is the POS allowed to store the unfiscalized receipts so that when the internet comes back, those receipts are sent for fiscalization? And meanwhile, when the internet is unavailable, the customers are given unfiscalized receipts. Or in the VSDC option, when there's no internet, businesses must stop operating or selling. I know that, Saki, you've already responded to that one. Retailers who don't have power and internet backup will be encouraged to use the ESDC for continuity. So I hope that answers your question there. And then we have one more question from Mingu. I'm not too sure, Tunzi, if this one has been responded to yet. If not, maybe Marco, I can give that question to you before we then take any live questions. So the first one from Mingu is regarding POS accreditation. Does the physical hardware also need to be accredited? For example, if our POS software is installed on a standard Windows PC, touchscreen terminal, or all-in-one POS machine, does each hardware model need separate accreditation? Or is there accreditation only for the POS software or application? So maybe Marco, if you can respond to that question for us.
Yeah, so there is no requirement to accredit the hardware itself. So if there is only the updates that affect the functionality of the POS itself. So I hope that kind of that answers it. If you run the same version of the product on different hardware. If there is a change in that, then there is no need to reaccredit the product.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Marco, and thank you, Mingu, for your question. The second question he had was regarding eligibility for accreditation. Must the applicant be accompanied, registered in Eswatini? Can an overseas software provider or manufacturer apply for POS or ESDC accreditation directly? Or is a local Eswatini company representative or distributor required? If a foreign company can apply, is there any requirements to have local technical support representatives or local business partners in Eswatini? I think even the ERS team can respond to these ones as well. So Marco Omtunzi, you can take this one.
As far as I know, there is no requirements but I don't want to give the definitive answer to this whether the requirement exists. So
thanks, Malcolm. Tunzi,
Okay.
maybe you can jump in here.
Okay, with this one, yes, an overseas company can, but then when you're operating in a certain jurisdictions, there are laws that you need to abide to. So they need to make sure that they comply or that they comply on those laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Mtunzi. Martin, I see your hand. I just want to make sure I cover questions in the chat, and then I will move on to live questions. Stephen, you've asked how many software providers accredited. Maybe let me allow the team to respond to this one in the chat. If we aren't understanding exactly what the ask is here, but if we are, Marco Mtunzi, if you can go ahead with that one while I pick up one more question from Stelo.
Regarding how many software
Yes.
providers are accredited, I'm not sure if I'm understanding that well, but there is no limit regarding the number of
Okay.
accredited. So yeah, as many as fulfill the compliance expectations. So there is no limit to how many can get accredited.
Okay, perfect. Stelo, you have a question asking about the accreditation process. We currently have systems successfully installed across various retailers, and the users are completely satisfied with them. However, since further software development is a significant expense, will there be a hand-holding or technical assistance provided for suppliers? Additionally, what are the compliance timelines, and are we legally mandated to change our current software and hardware if they are not officially accredited? So Marco and Mtunzi, if you can assist with the responses there.
I will, yeah, I can provide the answer regarding the technical assistance. So there will be support available where you can raise tickets for any questions or issues you are facing throughout the accreditation process. So once you, like I said, engage with the portal and with available documentation, you can start submitting any questions you have, or maybe even initiatives for improvement. Why not? But yeah, technical support is available throughout this process for all your questions.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Marco. Then maybe the project team can speak to the hand-holding question and the compliance timelines.
Yes, we will provide services for hand-holding, and also timelines will be communicated because we are doing this in phases. So we're starting off with one cohort, which will get the timeline soon, and then for the others, the city will publish those timelines. Thank you.
Thank you, Mtunzi. We have one more question from Busiso Khadebe, who's saying, are there reporting dashboard capabilities required of the ERS fiscalization data? So Marco and Mtunzi, if we can just to respond to Sosi's question?
If I'm understanding this as well, there is a requirement from a POS to produce a daily report on request, and it's described what this daily report should contain, what kind of information. But regarding other than that, any reporting or dashboards for your end users, the system doesn't go into that. So it's up to you and the level of reporting you wish to provide for your users. But there is just one standardized report that's part of the accreditation. That's where you are asked to confirm that the POS can produce this one standard report regarding just and it's not a complicated report, just a report summarizing the transactions performed on the POS on that day.
Okay, thanks, Marco. I think Stephen has clarified his question. He means how many software providers are already accredited?
None are accredited in Eswatini because we are just starting the whole process. So it wouldn't make sense to have anybody accredited yet. But where this system has been implemented in different countries already, there are hundreds, and I would say maybe even once you add up all the jurisdictions, maybe more than 1,000 providers have been successfully accredited as well.
Okay, thank you. I think let me allow Martin to ask his questions. I'll then come back to you, Militsi. Martin, please go through with your question.
Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I just want to find out if like we are a franchise with a company in South Africa, who's gonna pay those costs? Because we use their to get a data from, like, example, SAP system. We tried before and it was costing like a lot of money. So who's gonna pay those costs? Who's gonna pay those costs? Because we tried before on our side and it's costing like a lot of money. So unless if ERS is gonna provide a letter stating that we need to, there's a new system that they are introducing. And yeah, I think they need to send a letter. I don't know. So because there's a cost involved with the franchise. There's a cost.
Okay, thank you, Martin. If I can ask our project team to respond to that one, the cost as well as the letter from the ERS.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Program Director. On this one, we are still working on the background on how to incentivize the onboarding. I think in the previous session, there was one default one, which would be you claiming the cost on your income tax return as an expense. But we'll come back with the different incentives after approval so that we assist you in this field. Thank you.
Thank you, Mthunzi. One second. Back to Mr. Habangan, your question, what happens when we are running demo sandbox environment on the same server where our live data is running by creating a different company? Can you turn off the fiscalization in such circumstances? Marco, if you can just respond to that question.
Yeah, I'm not sure what do you mean by running demo on your servers. So the sandbox environment is being run on the ERS servers. You're just accessing the platform by using a certificate that you will receive as a registered vendor. So there's no need for you to store anything on your servers. All the data will be stored on the sandbox environment, which is on the ERS infrastructure.
I'm not sure if that answers you, Mr. Habangan. Otherwise, you could jump in to give clarification before we move on. Okay. Holy Sizwe is asking, what are the timelines for completing the accreditation process, and how safe will the client data be? In case of a data breach, who is liable for that breach? What are the tools available to safeguard client data against cybercrime? So maybe, Marco, if you could just respond to that question.
Yeah. So I cannot respond on the timeline that will be published by the ERS. But regarding the data safety, so the whole system is operated by using the PKI infrastructure. So the digital certificates that are provided by the ERS will be used to digitally sign all the information, and the SDC devices will encrypt all the fiscalized information, and it will be distributed in encrypted form once it's digitally signed, meaning that even if there is interception in the communication, the information cannot be decrypted by any third party. So there is a, like I said, private and public keys that will be used to sign and then decrypt information. So the information that is fiscalized by an SDC and then submitted can only be decrypted by the ERS system. It cannot be decrypted by anybody else.
Okay, thank you, Marco. I have a question from Veza Mafa, and then I will come back to you, Milizi. Go ahead, Mr.
Okay, all right, thank you. I have two questions actually. One is that what is the difference between transferable and non-transferable accreditation? And also the other one is that, is there item codification? Like, is there a prescribed Eswatini codification scheme or a published code list that suppliers must use, or is it just supplier defined?
So for the transferable, non-transferable, let me try and explain it again. So the transferable accreditation means that you can accredit your product and then offer it on the market for any taxpayer who wishes to buy this product and use it on their premise. Non-transferable means that you can accredit it, but then only you can use it. You cannot sell it on the market to other taxpayers.
Okay, thank you.
Does that clarify? And can you the second question, can you sorry, repeat it one more time?
Oh, the second question is that, are there item codes that maybe ERS will give us for certain products, or will we have to define them ourselves?
So that's item codes. I think from what I know, they are planned to be used, but they still haven't been confirmed. So I will just ask the DRS team to confirm this. So this is, I think, envisioned in the design of the product to use item codes, but I think that the schema, the actual list of codes is not complete yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Milizi has clarified his question because it seems we didn't respond to it. He's highlighting to say, as the merchant are running a test, as the merchant running a test of a new feature under a demo company, as opposed to the main company, and there is an API integration to submit invoices to the ERS, are we able to turn off so that the ERS does not receive the test data, but live data only? So I don't know, Marco, if that clarifies the original question.
Well, yes, but that's the whole point of the accreditation process. So the accreditation is there to confirm that the POS or ESDC that is being accredited can communicate with the ERS. So once it is installed on the business premise in the production, there is no need to run tests with a demo company. So it's expected that accredited products, once it is installed, can already communicate and start producing information in the production environment.
Okay.
There are, sorry, if you will wish to maybe test a bit more, there are certain invoice types that can be used and produced. For example, you will see that there is a training invoice type. So those are not considered invoices that incur tax burden. So you can run on your system once you install it in production environment. You can start issuing these training type of receipts just to make sure that your system communicates with the ERS completely fine, and this will not produce any tax liability at all.
Okay, Marco, I do want to let you move on to the next presentation. I will take two more questions. Rampa Swaziland, and then Kevin, and then can we proceed to the next section? Please do drop your questions in the chats, and then we will have another Q&A session. So Rampa, you can go first.
Hi, yes, I think there's a bit of confusion about this test environment question, because we also sometimes need to run a test environment to when we're developing our system. It's got nothing to do with the integration with Eswatini Revenue Services, and we would not want that data, because it would be dummy data, to be going to ERS.
Okay, thank you, Rampa. And maybe let me also take Kevin's question so that we can respond collectively. Go ahead, Kevin. Your mic is muted.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, can I just ask, will ERS allow local certain companies to become implementation or technology partners of DTI, Data Tech International? That's my question. Would they allow local companies to become implementation or technology partners? Will you guys introduce us to Data International as accredited solution providers? Would you make means for us to partner with DTI? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Over to you, Marco, and then I'll allow you to proceed to the next presentation, which is the technical guidelines. Can I ask that the project team assist with responding to the questions, the remaining questions on the chat?
All right. So yeah, just to go back to the question regarding the demo, the whatever other testing you need to do on your system that's not, like you said, directly connected to this e-invoicing project. Of course, it's not expected that you should fiscalize those testing data. It doesn't make any sense to involve fiscalization in that. So that's your internal testing. And regarding this partnership, should I answer that question, or?
Mthunzi, you can also jump in.
About the partnership.
Yes.
No, DTI is ours. All you have to do is to just follow the technical guidelines and do your business there. Otherwise, DTI is ours. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's what I wanted to say, but I felt it was better for you. It's so DataTech International exclusively works with the ERS. It will be a conflict of interest for us to work with the different providers directly as well. So we only interact directly with the ERS. That's our only client. But we do accept, like I said, product improvement ideas, of course, from the vendors.
Thank you, Marco. Colleagues, can I ask that we mute our mics? I am hearing another voice coming through. Duduzo, maybe if you can assist with muting on. Okay, great. I think let's move on to the technical guidelines for the accreditation of fiscal device solution. This is going to sort of unpack the technical administration and operational requirements that vendors are required to meet. I know that Marco, you will take us through these requirements, and Mtunzi is here to support. We will also be sharing the requirements in the link. We have also uploaded them on the ERS website, but I will allow Marco to proceed. I see, Saj, you have your hand. Could your question please just wait for the Q&A session that's coming? We will then open up for a Q&A after that. Otherwise, you're welcome to drop your question in the chat. Over to you, Marco.
All right, thank you. All right, let me reshare my screen. So this is the technical guideline document that's already up on the ERS website, as you can see. You can access it. I'll just go through the documents together with you and point out as you can see, it's almost 70 pages long. So we don't want to go through the whole document in too great of a detail, but I want to point out some of the most important aspects of the technical guideline document as well, and help you kind of navigate the document itself once you start interacting with it, because let me say it again, it's extremely important for you to go through this before you start doing any development and testing of your products. The introduction section explains you can see from the titles, the legal basis for publishing this technical guideline, and which already available legislation is kind of the basis for publishing the guideline itself. I don't want to, like I said, spend too much time on going through this, but you can see a description of the purpose of the document itself. So like I said, it's here to describe the conditions for obtaining accreditations, the conditions for the registration, technical and administrative review, and the accreditation process. This is an important one. We will stress this out: the responsibilities of suppliers during the accreditation process and after the accreditation is granted. The conditions for maintaining accreditations, for revoking them. The publication of accredited products that we already mentioned. Requirements, it's all listed here. You will see the whole checklist is listed from the technical and administrative review. The checklist is available in the technical guideline document itself. There is a section with the application and who the guideline applies to. Like I said, don't want to spend too much time on this introduction sections and the legal bindings. You will be able to read it for yourselves. Now, this is the important part. This document also defines the authority of the Commissioner General within this accreditation process itself. So it's the authority of Commissioner General to prescribe the requirements for solutions, to approve or reject or revoke accreditations, to require corrective actions if needed, to publish or remove details of accredited devices, inspect, verify, require evidence of compliance later after it has been accredited, to issue further instructions, notices, specifications from time to time, and take any other action under the available legislation, like we already said. All right, now there is a glossary part here as well that you can read to help you go through the rest of the guideline. Important part that the technical guideline can get updated. We already mentioned this, previous part, but please make sure that you keep track of this and whether the guideline has been documented. Like I said, you will be informed by the ERS as well on any updates, but all the the versions will be available on the document itself. So all the update versions with the details of what has been updated. Just let me go back. Sorry about so. The important section for you is this one that regulates your responsibility. Is this one? Sorry, as an applicant for accreditation. So what is expected of you? So even before you become accredited, you just apply for accreditation. So you are expected to actively participate in the accreditation process by providing additional information necessary for the completion of the process itself, and to resolve any issues that arise during the review process and enable ERS to conduct a review in a timely manner. So, it's expected that all the prospective vendors who apply for review and who apply for accreditation take a proactive approach in this whole process in order to make sure we keep a good pace of accreditations. We sometimes had bad experiences with, vendors taking too long to make amendments or changes. This kind of slows down the whole process, and it's to the detriment of the vendor, of course, as well, because other vendors will be more proactive and will have their solutions on the market sooner. Now, this one is even more important, the responsibilities as an accredited EFD supplier. So, like we said, you would be expected to maintain the product compliance with all the available legislative expectations and technical expectations. Like we already mentioned, ERS will conduct inspections at the premise of fiscalized taxpayers to make sure the consistency of the product is in good order. You are required to promptly, and this is a keyword, to promptly correct any identified errors that do not comply with the issued accreditation. So there is an understanding that products get developed, they get accredited. Things might not be 100% perfect. Once they start working in the field, there might be some issues and some small bugs and incidents. Things can happen, but you are, as an accredited vendor, expected to have, again, proactive approach and promptly fix any identified issues that happen on the field once your products are being used. If the accreditation is revoked for any reason, it will be, like we said, removed from the list of accredited components, and the supplier is required to immediately cease further sale of that model or product that was revoked, and to withdraw it from the market, all the devices that are being operated on the market. Now there is a description here in the document outlining the accreditation process itself, with some helpful links to that online documentation that I already showed you. But I think that there is a graph here that might be, yeah, there we go. Slightly more. Zoom in. There's a graph here that kind of outlines the process. It can be, hopefully it will be very helpful for you to kind of set expectations of what you can expect for the whole process. So like we already said, the first step is for you to get registered, right? And then to confirm your registration application. It will be reviewed. If maybe something is found like that something with your registration application is not, there is some fault or there's a mistake, it will be rejected, and you'll be able to submit another application for registration to the sandbox environment. If everything is okay, there is this section here. You will receive an email with your certificate for accessing the sandbox environment, for accessing the developer portal. Then you can use the developer portal to test your solution. You can submit the technical part of the accreditation review. You can initiate technical part. Again, then it goes for a review process. Said it's under technical test. And this is that loop that's available for us to kind of enable us not to reject any applications immediately, but if there are any identified issues, it can some corrective actions can be required to make amendments. So there is an email you will receive with comments from the reviewer. You will be able to take corrective actions and then resubmit for technical review. So it kind of goes around in a loop until everything is fixed and all the issues have been dealt with. Everything is okay. There will be a small report that will be created for the technical review. It has passed the technical review, it has been approved. Then you can submit your application for the administrative part of review. Same thing happens. It will be reviewed. If there are any corrective actions required, you will receive notifications so you can resubmit after you fix it. If everything is fine and approved, your product gets the like we said, that status approved, but it still needs to be accredited by the Commissioner General. If it does get accredited, you will again receive an email confirming that your product has now been accredited and it can be used in the market. If not, you will again receive an email with an explanation of why it hasn't been finally accredited. But yeah, all of that is kind of described in more detail in this section here that you can go through and read. There is a explanation of the accreditation environment or the sandbox that we already discussed. So again, I don't want to repeat most of that same information, but that is also described in the technical guideline document, saying that there is regulated access through the certificates. There are free tools for testing and development, and you are able to initiate your applications. Each time when you initiate a new application for accreditation, your product receives a unique code for the accreditation number, and then you can refer to that in any further communication and so on. There is another link here for you to access the online documentation. And then the next section of the technical guideline document outlines all the steps in the accreditation process itself. So the first one, like you see here, says that you apply for registration in the environment. So each of these steps is described using the same template. There is a prerequisite for that step. There is an expected result, and then there are step-by-steps of what happens in this phase. Next one is that you confirm your application for registration. Again, prerequisite, expected result, and what are the steps. So again, go through this, read it, and you will have a clear idea of what you can expect throughout the accreditation process. Receive developer certificates, then you apply for technical review. Now this is what I said. There is the whole checklist is available for you. So even before you go and register, you can see the checklist here. Even today, you can go and see the whole checklist of what is expected, what will be expected from your product as you go through the checklist, and you can then decide whether you want to engage with this whole process. So this is the checklist for the technical review of POS products. You can see there are topics here, technical details, enclosed documentation, and you can see all the individual questions that you will be expected to provide answers with the technical review of a POS product. Wherever it's applicable, we've placed some, again, useful links to that online documentation, so you can go and read the documentation kind of to clarify the expectations from you. Just want to go down to this. There is this textual representation of an invoice, what is expected of your invoice to contain. And then the POS samples, these are the samples that you will be expected to provide in the technical part of the accreditation. And these will be checked by the reviewer. Then the next section is, again, technical review, but this is the checklist for an ESDC product. Well, so again, it has its own topics and a list of questions with links to the documentation to read a little bit more about that specific section. Let's see. So there are some list of operational functions that need to be confirmed for each ESDC. Logging, audits. So it's the whole list here. Yeah, even a list of prohibited functions. You need to confirm that, for example, your ESDC does not do any of these prohibited functions from an ESDC. And there is a section to upload results from that automated testing tool that I mentioned called SDC Analyzer. All right, then there's performing technical review. You can read, so you can see what to expect during when the technical review is being performed. Then you move on to the administrative review process, what to expect. And again, you will see there is a checklist with all the questions and expectations in the administrative review section as well. So there is first a checklist again for the POS solutions. You can see all the questions that you will be asked in the administrative review process, so you can prepare even before you go and you initiate anything on the developer portal. And then these are all specific questions of what you can expect to fulfill. Yes. These are additional invoice samples that you will be expected, like we mentioned, to upload in the administrative review part. And then there is a checklist again for ESDC administrative review as well, just like there is for a POS. All right, so there is an explanation of what happens during the administrative review process, just like with the technical review. What are the prerequisites? What are the expected results here? What are going to be the steps for during the administrative review? If everything is fine, the accreditation report is published and shared with the Commissioner General, so that Commissioner General can go through the report of the whole review process, and then the Commissioner General is the one who can finally accredit a product before it can be offered on the market. There is a section describing updated, already accredited EFD components. Again, this is very important to read. So it applies where a change on accredited EFD component may affect functionality, security, fiscal document appearance, invoice data, audit data, communication protocol, or continued compliance with the notice and these technical guidelines. So changes made to a product that alters the product's functionality or appearance of issued invoices must be reported through the accreditation environment. In such cases, the supplier must submit a new application for the accreditation, updating a hardware or software version of the product, like we said. So if there is any significant change that affects the version of the product itself, it needs to be reaccredited. Minor changes and patches do not require any reporting or any reaccreditation. There is a section describing again inspection of accredited products and the revocation. What are the basis for revocation? Inspection. All right, it's on the inspection, describing inspection of the business premise, of course. And again, so the tax administration may revoke the accreditation of the POS agency model if any of the following situations occur. So if a supplier fails to correct identified errors within the specified period, if the supplier does not adapt the product or solution following changes to laws, bylaws, or applicable guidelines issued by the ERS, if it is determined that a product used by the taxpayer does not have the same functional critical fiscalization as the approved model. So in case one thing gets accredited, but it is found that something else is being used in the field. Or it can also be revoked at the request of the supplier. These things can also happen if there is an accredited supplier who does not wish to support their product anymore. So that can also be subject to the revocation of the accreditation. Now there is then the section that describes issuing invoices with some useful examples for you regarding how the invoices should look like and what should be present on the issued invoices with different types of invoices. So there is an example here of mapping the information from in invoice request. If you remember from my previous presentation that you said where we said that the POS submits the transaction data to the SDC and receives the answer back. So that's what we considered invoice request and invoice response. So you can see what an invoice request looks like going from a POS to an SDC, and there is a example of how this would map on a printed invoice. So again, this is an example. Of course, your invoice might look something a little bit more different when it comes to, especially when it comes to this A4 format. But the example is provided here just to give you an idea of how this can be formatted. So the idea is that everything should be clearly visible on the invoice that is shared with the customer. And the same thing goes with, like we said, the SDC response. So once the information is fiscalized, this is what the response will look like going back to the POS. And you can see with the numbers how this maps, where it maps on the invoice itself. Then there are some examples of fiscal receipts and how that maps as well. So there is an example of what a fiscal receipt looks like. Again, with an example of a request that is being produced by the POS. With further explanation of the specific fields. So you will, once you start reading that online documentation, you will see that API considers certain fields as mandatory. Some other fields are, of course, optional. But again, this technical guideline is the one that further specifies which API optional fields are mandatory in this business case. So if you're issuing a fiscal receipt, for example, this normal sale fiscal receipt, in that case, these fields are considered mandatory. You need to provide these fields, even though on API level, they are considered to be optional. And again, with some explanation, for example, if a receipt is intended to be used for a tax return, some additional fields that can be used to identify, specify the basis for claiming tax return. Then there is an example for a refund invoice as well. So that the first one was a sale invoice. This is a refund invoice with a similar example of what an invoice is formatted and what the request looks like from the POS. And again, an explanation of which API optional fields are considered to be mandatory in this business case when you're issuing a refund. Then there is an example of a tax invoice, a B2B invoice, a tax invoice. Again, example here of how it can be structured. Again, different businesses have, you might already have some templates that you're using for your tax invoices. You will just then see how you can fit this required information with your existing templates, but this is the information that will be expected to be present on your tax invoice. And again, more explanation of which fields are considered to be mandatory on a tax invoice. So these are the three examples, and some special cases as well are identified here with issuing a credit note. For example, there is an example of, again, of a credit note invoice. and how a request is submitted in order to create a credit note. Invoice, you will see, for example, that in case you create a credit note, you need to submit this field that clearly distinguishes this invoice as a credit note, and you will be asked to submit a field with some explanation regarding why this credit note is being created. Right, so same goes for a debit note, just the other way around, right? It's a different type of different type of invoice. Credit note is a refund invoice, debit note is a sale invoice. But again, an example of what it can look like and how to structure a JSON request for creating a debit note invoice. All right. And I think this is the last special case when it comes to cancellation. If you need to perform a cancellation of an already issued invoice, you can do that as well. So you can cancel a sale invoice. So you issued a sale invoice, a cancellation needs to happen. So cancellation, so just to avoid any confusion between cancellations and refunds, right? So refunds are used when there is a refund being made, right? So when there is a transaction that was already completed and now a refund needs to happen, cancellations are created before any transaction actually happened. So if an invoice was created and it was identified that there was immediately was identified that there was a mistake, you can cancel that invoice. So for example, there's an example of a sale invoice with an error, and there can be a cancellation invoice that is issued after that, which will refer back to this invoice as well, right? So each invoice you will see once you start reading the documentation, each invoice needs to have this SDC invoice number, which is a unique number of the invoice. The invoice that will cancel it will have a reference number, which will clearly refer this cancellation to the original invoice that was issued. So that is explained here with examples for the original invoice and the cancellation invoice and how it should be structured and how it should be answered. Again, there is a field that clearly distinguishes each invoice. And there's an explanation for refund, canceling a refund. This can also happen. You issue a refund, but you made a mistake with creating this refund. You need to cancel it. You will do that by creating a normal sale invoice, but again, with clear identification that this is a cancellation, so that these two invoices can kind of void each other in the system. And at the end, there is some support and contact information that's already available on the ERS website, but it's also part of this document as well. And that's it. Yeah, we reached the end. But that's the structure of the technical guideline. Like we said, the whole purpose of the technical guideline is to provide more details based on the already available legislation and to provide details regarding what is expected in the accreditation, and also to provide details for these business cases with issuing invoices and how they should be treated for specific business cases. It can get updated, so this is the first version that is published. You know, in cooperation with you and taxpayers, the ERS might come to a conclusion that there is some other useful information that could be added to this technical guideline, some other cases that maybe have not been considered till now. So, you know, the ERS might decide that they should update. So the document can be updated as some new information comes back from the field and gets applied. And I think that's all for the overview of the document itself. I think we can go to the Q&A again.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Marco, for taking us through the technical guidelines. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that there is a lot of information that we are sharing with you, but please do use this opportunity to ask your questions, get any clarification you may have. I do know that we had sent a Slido link to some of our clients who had previously registered and asked them to post questions there. I just want to highlight that we are still working on those responses, but if anyone has a burning question that they had lodged in the Slido and would want to have that tabled here quickly, please do raise your hand. I know, Saj, you had highlighted that you had posed your questions on Slido, but if you'd like an immediate response for something that has been discussed in today's session, please do raise your hand. I think I will just go through the chat to see if there aren't any questions, Marco and Mtunzi, that have been posed directly. Then I will again allow live questions. So, Stephen, earlier on, you had asked if we can introduce the tax type of Eswatini besides the tax 15 and 0%, any other levy like tobacco, plastic. You're welcome to just ask that question live, just so that there's clarity in case the technical team isn't quite getting your question. And then NGS has highlighted, how does the portal allow us to simulate tax authority downtime, network timeouts, and rejected submissions? And how closely does the sandbox mirror the actual validation engine and tax authority response times? So Marco and Mtunzi, maybe you can respond to that.
Yeah, it does. It mirrors the response time on the production as well. So you can expect very similar response times on the sandbox in the production environment. So like we said, the communication between all the components is standardized. You will see here in the protocol section. Once you go through these communication protocols, all the communication is standardized between the POS and SDC, between the SDC and the ERS system. There are standardized responses that you will receive. So those will enable you to identify whether your submission has been successful and accepted, or whether it hasn't been successful or not. And there are standardized error codes as well. So you can analyze those if you receive an error code as an answer to the submitted information.
Okay, thanks, Marco. Saj, if you do have a burning question out of your Slido questions, please do ask it now. Otherwise, we will be sharing formal responses to the questions that were lodged on Slido in the link where we are uploading all of the resources. Andy, please provide contact details. So we will be requesting our vendors to channel all of their questions through our standard contact details. We'll drop them on the chat here as a reminder. So yeah, if we can just stick to the standard contact details, which is our landline number 2406 4050. We have an email address info@ers.org.sz. And we also have a WhatsApp line 7606 3735. We will drop that on the chat, and the teams will ensure that they adequately channel your questions to the teams, to the appropriate teams. And then Kevin, I think Mtunzi has responded to your question above. You were just highlighting or clarifying what you had meant in terms of partnering with DTI. I'm seeing Mtunzi respond there. NGS, what are the specific APA rate limits per merchant, and how does the architecture handle burst traffic during peak processing periods like month-end closing? Marco, maybe if you could give some clarity around that.
Yeah. So yeah, the system has been scaled to handle these peak peak hours, and it has been, of course, tested in these situations. And there are jurisdictions where this system has accepted and processed more than 15 or 16 million transactions a day. So I don't think there are any worries that we will have problems with peak hours in Eswatini as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Marco. Samgelis was asked for clarification on the guideline on page 24. Can you explain this part in detail? Aren't these details produced by the POS, then sent to the VSDC or ESDC for review and fiscalization? What does the statement calculated by VSDC or ESDC mean?
The taxes are calculated by SDC. They're not calculated by POS. The POS submits, you will see that once you start reading through the documentation, what the POS submits is the price, the unit price, and the tax label that's applicable to that item. It does not calculate taxes. So all the taxes are calculated by the SDC, and the SDC then returns the value of the applicable tax back to the POS.
Okay, perfect. Rampa is asking if this video will be available on YouTube. Yes, we will definitely upload this session onto YouTube. We also will share the recording in the info pack that we will be emailing to all of you. And then Stephen is asking, what about the sales type of lay-by? And I'm not sure, Marco, if you understand the terminology lay-by from your perspective, but they just want to understand how that would work if someone wants to purchase an item and then pay for the item in installments, but hold the item.
So yeah, that can be a sequence of different sale invoices. So every time when there is an installment that is paid, you can issue a new sale invoice and then use that reference number field to reference back to the previous invoice, and that's how you can connect all the invoices to show that they're all part of the same transaction thread. And there are, like I said, again, additional fields that you can use to provide information that these are all installments of the same purchase. So let's say.
Okay, perfect. I think we've covered the questions in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's anyone who also has a burning question that they'd like to verbalize, please do raise your hand and I will allow you the floor. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, Marco, from the live Q&A. I think then if there aren't any questions, ladies and gentlemen, we will be sharing this content through the link. We also will email the link to all of you post the session. We will be responding to the questions that were posed on Slido. You will get the responses as part of that pack. We also will be uploading today's session onto YouTube and sharing that with you as well. From our side, we just want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today for the engagement, unpacking what the requirements are to be a prospective vendor for our e-invoicing solution. This isn't the last engagement that we will be having with you. We do plan on walking the journey with you as we roll out this platform. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to engaging with you further. Please do enjoy the rest of your day. And I see there's a question from Smanga about the registration form. We will be able to capture all of your details from this session, and we'll be using that to communicate with you. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. Take care.